Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chapter 9 Property Law. This is using a Canadian business law today. In terms of copyright, is owned by 2022 McGraw-Hill. And this slide is prepared by John Piccolo at Niagara College. Okay? All right, let's start this class. There's a number of learning objectives. There's about 6 of them. I will let's go back, let's go into the detail, understand the definition of property law, explain the real and personal and the intellectual property. And number 3, explain the ownership, the rights of the real property. And number 4, understand the rights and obligation under commercial lease. Number 5, distinguish between the types of bailment of personal property. Number 6, explain the importance of copyright, trademark, and patents and in the design and trade secret in carrying on a business. What is property law? It's a field of law that includes a broad range of legal rights and duties in the areas of real property and personal property. It can be public property, government property, or private property. Property determines whether an individual organization owns the item, has the right to the possession of the item, has the right to transfer or interest in the items, has the right to stop someone else from using the items or occupying the space. Do you know that in Canada, when marriage ends, family law allows spouse business owner to receive the equivalent of half of the value of business acquired during marriage, subject to any other agreements within the couple. So this is very important, guys, for you. If you have property, if you're married, if you get divorced, half of them will gonna go to your spouse. Okay. This is in Canada. Okay. The U.S. is almost the same, depending on which state. Okay. In Canada, it's a no-fault system for family law. What is real and personal intellectual property? Let's go into the detail. Real property is including the land, including everything attached to it, such as house, fences, central air conditioning units, more commonly referred to as the real estate. What is personal property? All property that is not real property. There are two types of personal property: the tangible personal property and the intangible personal property. Tangible personal property, things that can be touched, that are movable, such as furniture and consumer goods, sometimes called chattels. The intangible personal property that cannot be physically touched, such as reputations, goodwill, sometimes called chosen in actions. Okay, those are the difference between tangible and intangible. Intellectual property is a type of personal property resulting from individual creative activities. The rights provided by ownership of a trademark to stop someone from using the trademark without permission. Real property is defined as the land and the buildings, including fixtures. Fixtures is movable property shuttle that become permanently fixed to the land. Fences are in-ground pools and air conditioning unit. Free simple ownership, the most absolute form of land, of ownership including the right to the right exclusive possession and the right to transfer the land for an indefinite period of the time. It includes the right to buy, sell, and use of land as security, to borrow money, occupy, lease, or pass to another person through will. A fee simple interest include the right to use the occupied land based on the ownership or to grant someone right to the property. Okay, such as all land is owned by the government is referred to the crown land. The names of all owners of land in Canada are recorded under register system and maintained by each province or territory. The two primary systems used are the registry system and the land title system. Okay, we just get some water here. So the registration ownership interest in real property continue here. The registry system provides a public record of who owns the land as well as the accumulated debt that may affect the title of the real property. So this is the registration system. When I buy my home, the home is registered under the system. Okay. Example, mortgage and date when it become effective. That's the detail. The registry system is a system of land registration operated by provincial government to record interest in the land. It generally acquires title to the property. It can be set back 40 years for the current owner interest to the land to be considered clear. Does not validate or confirm ownership. Land title system is a system of land registration under which the provincial government guarantees the accuracy of the title to the land. A party can file a claim for compensation if they experience financial loss due to an error in the system. Taxes. Land ownership gives rise to certain taxes at the provincial and municipal level of the government. Upon the purchase, a land transfer tax based on the percentage of the purchase price of the property is charged. Use of real property. The regulation of the use of real property is done primarily through zoning bylaw and buildings bylaw. Control the types of activity of the land that can be used for and the nature of the building and structure that can be erected. Building permits must be obtained before starting constructions. Okay, mortgage and real property. This is the key parts. When I first buy my house here, I have to use mortgage. What is a mortgage? A debt using real property as a security. A mortgage is registered against a property under appropriate land registration system. Okay, for example, I buy million. I use a down payment of 25%, let's say 250,000. The remaining 750,000 is borrowed from the bank. Line of credit is a debt arrangement under which a lender agrees to make a maximum amount of money available to a borrower. What is a mortgagee? The lender under a mortgage. A mortgagor is the borrower owner under a mortgage. Mortgage term is the length of time for which the mortgage loan is available to the borrower. Amortization period. The length of time it takes to repay mortgage loan in full following the schedule of payments set out in the mortgage. The accelerating cost is the term in the mortgage agreement that permits the mortgage to demand immediate payment of the full amount of the loan in the event of the default. Power of sale. It is a remedy available to tender under a mortgage allowing the sale of the real property in the case of default. Foreclosure is a court action following which the lender obtains legal title to the real property after default by the borrower under a mortgage. Okay, this is foreclosure. Foreclosure when somebody cannot pay and it has to be foreclosed. Means a court action will follow the lender to obtain legal title of the property. Judicial sale is a court order and administrative sale of the property under default under a mortgage. If the funds from the sale are applied to the outstanding debt and the borrower is personally liable to pay any additional money toward the debt. Lease. What is lease? A contract setting out the terms, conditions for the rental of a property. Fixed tenancy is a tenancy that has a fixed beginning at the end of date. Periodic tenancy is a tenancy that renews automatically at the end of the relevant rental period. 4 types of commercial lease. There's 4 of them. Net lease. A net lease is in which the tenant pays a fixed amount as rent as well as percentage share of the landlord expenses relating to the operation. A lease under which, in addition of the payment under a net lease, the tenant pays the structural repairs to the premise as well. Gross lease, in which tenant pays a fixed amount as rent on a regular basis. This is mostly very common, gross lease. Fixed amount as rent on a regular basis. Okay. Number 3 is the most common version. Number 4, semi-gross lease, under which landlord assumes responsibility of certain expense under the base rent received from the tenant. Erase the lease provisions, guys. Let me just go back. Lease provisions. Quiet enjoyment is the right of lessee to occupy and use the lease space without intervention by the landlord. Owner may sublet all part of the lease promise to other people to cut expenses. That is the most common one. To lease. Okay. A tenant can transfer the balance of term under lease by an assignment to another party. Right of distress. The right of commercial landlord to seize and dispose of tenant property following the non-payment of rent. Right of forfeiture is the landlord remedy in evicting the tenant for breach of obligation under lease. Okay, this is when the remedy used when the tenant do not pay. Personal property classified as tangible items such as shuttle, cars, computer, or any intangible assets such as checks and trademark. The right over property depends on whether the goods are owned by the person or simply in its possession. Bailment is the legal relationship that arises when the elements of ownership and possession of personal property are intentionally divided for a period of time. Bailey as the owner of the goods under bailment. Bailey is the person in possession of the goods under bailment. Okay, bailment for rewards, which is such as rental. A bailment for reward is one in which condition is exchanged between the parties. A rental agreement is the most common form of bailment. Rental of water coolers, cars, rug, cleaning equipment, computers, and photocopies. There's also consignment, okay? The transfer of possession of goods from one person to another for the purpose of offering the goods for sale. If the item is not eventually sold, it is returned to the owner. Bailment for repair service is when the bailer pays the bailee for providing a service. The bailee must make the repairs in a skillful manner under a contract repair. Goods can be used as security for the repayment of a debt. Can be created through a loan or the purchase of an item with the payment to be made at some point in the future for a period of time installment. If the debt is not paid or default occurs when the arrangement, the individual who is owed and the money can seize the goods and sell them. Installment payment. The vendor will often sell its interest under the lease to a financing company. The financing company holds the title of the goods and receives the lease payment until the purchase option is exercised at the end of the lease. What is intangible personal property? This is called intellectual property, okay, which has copyright, trademark, patents, industrial design, as well as trade secrets. This is a good example. The most guarded trade secret, the most famous one in the world is what? KFC recipe. Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe is the most popular trade secret, as well as Coca-Cola recipe. Okay, copyrights. Copyright is statutory protections of intellectual property rights of the creators of musical, dramatic, literary, artistic work, and software. Exclusive right to be published, perform in public, reproduce the original work, ability to prevent another person or business from copying or using such work for commercial purposes. Okay, that's a good example. Copyright is very protected in this part of the world, in North America, Europe, as well as in Australia. But in other parts of Asia, like in China, there's no copyright. If you see, there is a copyright law, but it's highly enforced. Okay, that's the part. If you go to Guangdong, Shenzhen City, you will see a lot of branded items such as Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Gucci have a copycat there. Okay. Sometimes you go to here in Canada, go to a certain area, you will see a sale of fake items as well. Reproduction or publication of work or substantial part of work without copyright owner authorization would be considered infringement of the copyright. Fair dealing means permitted use or copying of copyright materials for specific limited purpose for such a review, research, and review. Trademark. Trademark is identifiable feature used to distinguish the good of services or business from those offered by another. A word or symbol design that determines the source of particular product or service. Registration under the Trademark Act is not required for trademark to be protected. License is a contractual right to use a trademark, copyright, patent, industrial design, or trade secret for a specific limited purpose of time. For example, a good example is like buying a franchise, okay, under a license of Kentucky Fried Chicken. For example, you will have that one, a license to use Kentucky Fried Chicken store in a certain area. Okay, you're buying a license there to use. Patent is a statutory grant of an exclusive right to make, sell, use invention such within jurisdiction in which it is granted. Inventor could sell the patent, assign ownership to another party, and inventor can retain ownership of the patent and license to the patent right in exchange for royalty and sales. Okay, the good example for patents is that uh, one of the aircraft in I think in Spain they provide a patents creating a single uh, turbo engine CN235 to Indonesia. So Indonesia uh, buy this patent and get an agreement to use this patent to build CN235 in their country for export as well. Industrial design is unique visual elements incorporated as part of manual product and design. It features such as shape, cohesion, pattern, and ornament. Okay. Trade secret again is a confidential information regarding a product process that has commercial value to the owner. Again, I'm gonna give you good two most famous trade secret, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken and Coca-Cola. Customer list pricing policy, future marketing plans for her business or an invention. Can also include a secret marketing process that is not patentable but unique to product. Non-disclosure agreement, a contract between two or more parties to maintain information exchange between them confidentiality. Customer list, pricing policy, and future marketing plans for her business and invention. Can also include secret manufacturing process that is not patentable but is unique to a product. The trade secret continues with non-disclosure agreement, a contract between two or more parties to maintain information exchanged between them confidential. These agreements are intended to protect the information exchanged by the party who signed them. Okay. All right. Let's continue for the key questions 1 to 2. Okay. These are questions regarding to the objective 1 to 6. What is meant by property law? 1 is lien and personal property considered to be perfected. Who is responsible for the cost of cleaning up pre-existing environment problem following the sale of real property? That's another one. What is the purpose of raising interest in the land, which is number 3. And then what is the purpose of mortgage of real property? What is the right quiet enjoyment? Number 4. What are the two forms of personal properties? Explain what is protected by copyright and trademark. Okay, let's look at the key terms now. What is real property? It's land including everything attached to it. Okay, that's the first definition. Personal property is all property that is not real property. Tangible personal property, things that can be touched that are movable. Intangible personal property, things that cannot be physically touched. Intellectual property is a type of personal property resulting from an individual creative activities. Key terms number 2. Free simple ownership is the most absolute form of land ownership. Registry system is a system of land registration operated by provincial government to record interest in the lands. Land title system is a system of land registration under which provincial government guarantees the accuracy of the title of the land. Mortgage. Key term number 3. Mortgage is a debt using a real property as security. Line of credit is a debt arrangement under which a lender agrees to make maximum amount of money available to the borrower. Amortization period is the length of time it takes to prepay the loan, a mortgage loan in full following the scheduled payment set out in the mortgage. Power of sale is a remedy available to lender under mortgage allowing the sale of real property in the case of default. Foreclosure is a court action following which the lender obtained legal title to the property after default by the borrower under mortgage. Key terms number 4. Judicial, a court order and sale of the property after default under a mortgage. Fixed tenancy, a tenancy that has a fixed beginning at the end and end date that can be for any period of time from months for years. Periodic tenancy, a tenancy that renews automatically at the end of the relevant rental period until terminated by landlord and tenants. Quiet enjoyment, the right of the lessee to occupy and use the leased premises without influence by the landlord. Sublet is an arrangement under which the tenant leaves a leased space for a specific period of time, allows person to occupy the leased space until the tenant return to resume occupancy. Assignment, the arrangement under which the tenant transfers the tenancy to another person for the balance of the term of the lease. The right of distress, the right of commercial landlord to seize and dispose of tenant property following the non-payment of rent. Right of forfeiture, the landlord remedy of everything the tenant or for breach and obligation under the lease. Bailment, the legal relationship that arises when the elements of ownership and possession of personal property are intentionally divided for a period of time. Okay. Consignment, the transfer of a possession of goods from one person to another for the purpose of offering the goods for sale. Copyright is a statutory protection of the intellectual property rights and creator of musical, dramatic, literary, artistic work, and software. Trademark is identifier features used to distinguish the goods and services of business from those offered by another. Patent is a statutory grants an exclusive right to make, sell, and use of invention within the jurisdiction in which it is granted. And then industrial design is a unique visual elements incorporated as part of manufactured product design. And trade secret is a confidential information regarding product and production process that has commercial value to the owner. Confidential information that retains its commercial value as long as the public or competitor does not knowing it. A non-disclosure agreement, contract between two or more parties to maintain information and exchange between them confidentiality. So guys, it's a very long terms of definition in terms of key terms. Business law is like that, okay? So you need to understand this term concept. So this is basically conclude this chapter. I will create a Edpuzzle video for your interactive learning process. Thank you.